How the Government Shutdown Hurt Military Personnel by Ellen Mitchell. Hundreds of thousands of military personnel were set to return to work this week after the government shutdown ended Thursday following a historic 43 days. But furloughed civilian defense employees, who have not received a paycheck in weeks despite being ordered back to the office, still have to wait several days for back pay. Paychecks for civilian employees at the Defense Department and Veterans Affairs are set to be processed Sunday, according to a memo from the White House Office of Management and Budget (OMB). First reported by Semaphore, the document notes that the paychecks will include standard pay as well as payments for things like overtime and hazard pay. The effort caps an episode of history which took a deep financial toll on civilian military personnel, service members, and their families, with many facing financial and food insecurity, uncertain childcare and medical care, and lack of access to other services. Despite the Trump administration finding funds to pay active duty troops during the ordeal, nearly half of the defense civilian workforce, about 334,900 employees, were furloughed for the shutdown. Of those still forced to work, 30% were considered accepted. Employees who continued to work jobs providing medical care, emergency response, or protecting human life, all without a paycheck for nearly a month and a half. Many missed 2 full paychecks and a partial one during the shutdown, ended when President Trump on Thursday signed a bill that reopened the government by funding most agencies at current levels through January 30th, 2026, while providing full-year funding for Congress, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, and Military Construction. Under a 2019 law, workers who miss paychecks during a federal funding lapse must be retroactively paid immediately after the shutdown ends, regardless of scheduled pay dates. After the 2018-19 shutdown, which stretched for 35 days, that is precisely what happened. But though it only took a few business days for workers to be paid after that shutdown, this time around it could take longer. Numerous human resources employees across agencies were furloughed or chose to leave, or were fired as the administration seeks to downsize the federal government, which will delay the process. That means military civilians, service members, and their families might have to wait another few days on top of the 43 they were uncertain when their next payday would be coming. During those 6 weeks of stress and uncertainty, more than 14,000 workers missed their pay at military schools that remained in session, according to the Pentagon's educational arm. Some on-base childcare centers closed on military installations, forcing parents to scramble to find alternatives. Within the National Guard, mandated regular drill sessions and training were canceled, denying guardsmen that extra pay and creating a compound effect that erodes the readiness of our nation's warfighting reserve. National Guard Association of the U.S. Major General Francis Maginn told reporters at a November 10th briefing. And National Guard troops who were deployed full-time in military uniform in cities such as Washington, 500, Los Angeles, and at the southern border throughout the shutdown also were not to be paid until it ended. The financial strains showed, with many military personnel turning to no-interest bank loans to make ends meet. The Navy Federal Credit Union, which serves military personnel and their families, said more than 350,000 members enrolled for assistance after the shutdown began, 18 times the enrollment in the 2018-19 shutdown, CBS News reported. It is one of many signs of how painful and uncertain this shutdown has been for many hardworking families, Heather Long, the credit union's chief economist, told the outlet. Making matters worse, thousands of military families who receive government benefits faced food insecurity, compounded by uncertainty over funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program SNAP, which were cut off at the start of November. The uncertainty plunged thousands of service members, particularly younger troops who can sometimes struggle to cover the cost of living with their lower paychecks, into crisis. We are hearing in real-time stories from families that are incredibly alarming, said Cara Pappas, Chief Advancement Officer of the nonprofit Military Family Advisory Network MFAN, told The Hill earlier this month. Though the financial crisis appears to soon be alleviated with the shutdown ended, The latest funding legislation only appeared to kick the can down the road, with the threat of another turbulent funding battle in just 3 months' time.